Hi everybody, this video is about how the capitalist monopoly world has lost its opposite. In 1917, two dialectical opposites established themselves in the world. Let's call them Western world capitalism, in its highest stage monopoly capitalism, imperialism, with the vanguard in the form of the United States and the old money of America, and the arrearguard in the form of Europe and the old aristocrats and capitalists. The Eastern world in the form of at the end of 1922, the Soviet Union, as the center of an intermediate state from capitalism to communism, that is socialism. Firstly, we need the economic formation to be divided into two extreme opposites: capitalism and its highest stage, crony capitalism, monopoly capitalism, imperialism, is one opposite, the highest form of the commodity production. Its other opposite is communism, the direct distribution of products from each society according to its capabilities, to each according to its needs. Between them is the intermediate state of socialism. Socialism contains elements of two opposites. What are the essential elements of capitalism? Elements of capitalism: exploitation of man by man, commodity-money relations, free market. At the highest stage, the free market is undermined due to the huge monopolies, which through transfer valuable formation set prices and impose a form on the proletariat of working class. Labor power is a commodity, the private nature of securing profits of small rights. Private form of ownership of funds production. Having recognized the opposite, we can explain its other opposite. All the previous mentioned signs exist under communism. Basic elements of communism: exploitations of robots by humans. Robots lead to people and eliminate simple labor. Man is his own work. Labor belongs to man. Social ownership of the means of production. The social nature of appropriation of profit or production accumulation by the entire society. Instead of commodity-money relations, the relation of each according to the capabilities of each according to the needs, and threats distribution of system, not money. Planned economy. Under capitalism, the law of value is applied, expressed by the formula C plus V plus M equals P. C, means of production, V, wage funds, M, accumulation, P, total social labor. Under socialism, the transformed law of value operates as an intermediate state. C plus V equals living labor. C equals dead labor, V, labor required. C1 equals means of labor, C2 objects of labor. C1 plus C2 constant capital, V plus M equals variable capital. C plus M equals K is advanced capital. M1 public competition funds, wage communications. M2 public saving funds. The total formula of socialism is this: P equals C1 plus C2 plus V plus M1 plus M2. The corresponding formula of communism: P equals C plus 1 M plus M1 plus M2. So, we analyzed the main conclusions using Aristotle dialectics and relied on the basic material of Democritus and dialectical materialism. Let us now explain the political basis. Capitalism is the democracy of the bourgeois, capitalist dictatorships of the bourgeois. Socialism is democracy of the proletariat, dictatorships of the proletariats. Communism is the absence of dictatorships and completely communal, layer by layer construction of society. That is in fact democracy is not needed here because there is no such phenomenon as repressive system, repressive state, repressive government. Thus, the speed of change in the main position in society reaches maximum heights, maximum speeds. For example, in the morning he is a worker on a farm controlling a robot that irrigates the field. In the afternoon he is a scientist developing a new agricultural crop. In the evening he is a musician, a sportsman, whatever he likes. Now we move directly to the imbalance in the global economy. From the 1922 to the 1941, the Soviet Union showed the highest level of the economic development in the entire history of mankind. To this day, no one could see these results. Understanding such a force, the United Capitalist Europe, led by private monopolies, let's call them figurative behavior, world capitalist behind the scenes, attacked its main competitor, the Soviet Union. As the result, 2 million of communists, the best of the best people, the most educated people, died. And the Soviet Union turned out to be the winner, but with a dilapidated country. The country was quickly restored to just one 5-year plan. Two forces finally appeared on the horizon: capitalist with the vanguard of the United States and Britain, and socialist with the vanguard of the Soviet Union. While Roosevelt was alive, there was a tripartite agreement between Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt on the new world order, which in fact balanced itself. After Roosevelt's death, Truman wrote 2 words to Stalin in the form of nuclear strikes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Previous agreements for the most part failed. The American and Love monopolies were extremely afraid of Stalin and still afraid of Lenin, because in 1953 Stalin died suddenly. 2 weeks later, Allen Dulles became the head of the CIA. It's just a coincidence. A counter-revolution took place in the Soviet Union. Western agents led by Khrushchev came to power. Khrushchev's team focused on the attacks on the socialist economy. That is on the basis. First, they destroyed the state supply, and then 2 main pillars of socialism as a system, that is, socialism is a system of associated primary products of producers on the basis of public ownership of the means of production. That is, monopolies such as syndicates and trusts are placed at the service of the entire society. In 1957, Khrushchev destroyed the main governing body of these monopolies. These institutions destroyed the state plan and the entire top of ministry. Due to inertia, the economy of the Soviet Union began to fall and was destroyed within 30 years. In 1961, Khrushchev destroyed the dictatorship and democracy of the proletariat and the type of private collective business, artels, or industrial cooperation. Here are the 2 main blows. 1957, the liquidation of the base economic, and 1961, the liquidation of superstructure, political, and then the substitution of concepts. They called the murdered economy of the Soviet Union communism. This is a completely lie. There never was communism in the Soviet Union. At the same time, in the United States, there is no destructive war, and the means of production and the main monopolies remain safe and sound. If it were not for Khrushchev's rise to power, the Soviet Union would have 100% caught up with the United States in terms of well-being by 1970s. But in the United States, monopolies also dealt a blow to democracy. The Secret Service that served to the world capitalists behind the scenes, President John Kennedy, in whom US citizens had the highest confidence, was eliminated. In fact, the face of American democracy was publicly executed. While the Soviet Union was failing economically, a middle class was being built in the United States by inertia. But since the 1970s, globalization began. Globalization is such a specific state of capitalism which, while affecting the essence, is not, however, a species difference and does not create a new type of capitalism arriving at the stage of imperialism or a new socio-economic formation. This is a special state of concentration of capital, territorial dispersion of factors of production, objects of labor, means of labor, working power, development to such an extent that the boundaries of national industries go far beyond national borders. The classification of the working class in the advanced capitalist countries of Europe and the United States has begun. The means of production moved en massive to China. After 1991, the complete destruction of the Soviet Union allowed the US middle class to grow slightly, as capital from the US and Europe flowed to Russia, and Russia became a raw materials appendage of the West. But after a while, due to the crisis of overproduction and the aggressive American policies, which has begun organized for more than half century by neocons and US monopolies, the middle class began to destroy due to its unnecessariness. As a matter of fact, after 1991, no one is holding back the aggressive advance of the United States and the military-industrial complex. At the beginning of the 2020s, China, which has strengthened due to external monopolies, the means of production of which are located on its territory, begins to squeeze the dollar and the United States out of Africa and Latin America, using the partially planned sector of economy and the capitalist one. However, China is not a socialist in the sense in which it was socialist in the Soviet Union until 1957. China is more like the state monopoly capitalism that exists in the United States in 1950s. And therefore China is not the opposite of the United States, and its goal of building a common human destiny is not identical to communism, because communism is the happiness of all humanity, of all mankind, as a real human and natural component of human society. Thank you for your attention.